Hey there, how's it going everybody? In this video, we're going to be learning how to read and write zip files. Now, this can be extremely useful if you're wanting to write automated scripts to do all of this kind of stuff for you in Python. So for example, in my latest video where we analyzed the 2019 Stack Overflow Developer Survey, I went out and I downloaded that data manually. But if you want to automate that entire process using Python, then we can do that in a few ways. So we'll learn how to use the zipfile module to do this, but we'll also see a couple of other ways to do this using the shutil module to do this in a bit simpler way. And with shutil, we'll also be able to work with gzip files as well. Now, I'd also like to mention that we do have a sponsor for this video, and that is Brilliant.org. So I really want to thank Brilliant for sponsoring this video, and it would be great if you all could go and check them out using the link in the description section below and support the sponsors. And I'll talk more about their services in just a bit. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So first, let me show you how to do this with local files on our machine so that we can get the hang of this. And then later in the video, we'll see how we can download a zip file online and extract that data. So I currently have a directory open here on my desktop. And within this directory, I also have a couple of files that I'm going to write to a zip archive. So one of these files is just a simple text file called test.txt, and the other is an image called thumbnail.png. So if I open test.txt, we can see that it's just a text file that says this is a test file. We'll use this file for the zip tutorial. And for the image, this is just the thumbnail for this video. Okay, so let me open up our script here, and we will write a script to zip these files. And first we're going to do this using the zip file module. So I'm going to import the zip file module, and that is in the standard library, so you don't need to install anything. And now, in order to create a new zip file, we can work with this in a simple way, just like we work with other files. So we can open this up for writing just by saying something like myzip is equal to, and this will be zipfile.zipfile. Now, this is a zip file class. Be sure you get the casing correct here. It's a capital Z and a capital F. And now let's put what we want to call this zip archive. So I'll just call this files.zip. And now we want to say that we want to open this in write mode since we're going to be creating a zip file. Okay. And now we can write those files to our new zip file here just by saying myzip.write and then pass in the files that we want. So first I want to write test.txt, and also I want to write thumbnail. Whoops, let me do this here. Thumbnail.png. And once we have written the files that we want to this zip file, then I can just say myzip.close. Okay, so let's run this script and see if we get a zip archive in this directory. So I don't have any output here, so that's good that we don't have any errors. So let me open up Finder here. And here within Finder, we can see that we have this files.zip archive. So let me extract that here within my Finder window. So I'm just going to double click this. On Windows, you might extract that a different way. And now I have this files directory. And if I look in here, we can see that we have this test.txt file and this thumbnail.png image. Okay, so we successfully created a zip file using Python. So one thing that you might have noticed when we created our zip file is that we opened the file and closed the zip file manually. And usually this is a good indication that we should be using a context manager instead. And we can do this with zip files as well. So if you aren't familiar with context managers, then I do have a separate video on that topic. So I'll be sure to leave a link to that video in the description section below if anyone is interested in learning more about those. So in order to do this with zip files, we can just say, I'm going to grab this part here. I'm just going to say with zipfile.zipfile, everything is the same there. And then I'll just say as myzip and open up our context manager here. And then I can just indent these sections here into our context manager. And then I can get rid of this close part down here at the bottom because that's what context managers are used for. It opens the file and then it handles the closing of that file for us. So now, just to make sure that this worked, I can delete the files archive that we created before. And now if I rerun our script, then we can see that we still have that files archive with those files. So that's good. Now, you might expect your zip file to be compressed here, but by default, we're not actually creating a compressed zip file. In order to do this, we need to pass in a specific value to the compression parameter. Now, the zip file that I'm creating here doesn't have too many files in here, so there's probably not a lot of compression that can be done. But let's go back and just see how we would be able to do this. So to compress this zip file, we need to pass in an additional parameter here of compression. And I will set this equal to zipfile dot, and this is all capital here, zip deflated. Whoops, let me spell that right. Okay, so now we can see that we are opening this zip file with a compression set to zipfile.zip deflated. So if I run that, then we can see that we don't get any errors down here. That is how we compress a zip file when we're writing it. Okay, so far we've created a zip file within our script, but we might want to extract a zip file within our script as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and delete what we just extracted so that we don't have this here within our script. So I'm going to delete this files directory. I'm going to keep the files archive, this files.zip, because I'm going to extract that within my Python script. Now, first I'm going to copy the section where we created our zip file and paste this down here a line. And then I'm just going to comment out that first part. So first, let me just delete these sections here within the context manager where we are writing to our zip file, because now we're going to be extracting. And now, instead of writing a zip file, we're now reading a zip file that already exists. So instead of a W here for writing a file, let's change this to an R for reading a file. And I'm going to get rid of this compression part as well, since we're no longer creating that. Okay, so we can see that we have a context manager here. It says with zipfile.zipfile, and we are reading in this files.zip, which we created earlier. And now, if we just want to see what's in the zip file, then we can look at a list of the names of the files within that zip. So to do this, we can just say, I will print this out. We'll print out myzip dot namelist. And this is a method here, so don't forget these parentheses. So if I run this, then we can see that we get the names of the files in that zip archive that we just read in. And now with this zip file, we can extract all of those by saying, so I'm just going to delete this name list here. Now we actually want to extract these. So to extract these, I'll just say myzip dot extract all. And that's a method. And when we extract this, let's give this a name for the directory where we're going to extract these files. So in extract all here, I'm just going to call this directory files. So if I run this, we can see that we didn't get any errors here. And if I open up my Finder window, then we can see that now we have this files directory with those files extracted. So we extracted this zip file here and created this files directory all within our Python script. Now, if you just want to extract a specific file, then we can do that as well. So if you have a zip file that has, tons of files and you just want certain files out of there, then you can extract just single files. So for example, let's say that I only wanted to extract the thumbnail.png from my zip file. So first, let me go back and delete the original thumbnail.png that I have here in my directory. And now I will extract that thumbnail.png from this files.zip archive. So to just extract that file, instead of saying myzip.extract all here, I'm just going to say myzip.extract and then pass in the name of the file that we want to extract. And that was thumbnail.png. So now if I run this, we didn't get any errors. And if I open this up, we can see that now we have that thumbnail.png back in our directory here. Okay, so that covers the basics of zip files, but another common format for these zip files is gzip. And we can't actually use this zip file module to create and extract gzip files. To do that, we could use the gzip module, but I'd really like to show you this using the shutil module instead, because it allows us to work with both zip and gzip files. The reason I didn't show shutil right off the bat is because I like how the zip file module allows us to work with these like we're used to working with other files. And also when using shutil, I don't believe we can add individual files into an archive. As far as I know, we can just pass in an entire directory. If anyone knows a way to zip individual files with shutil, with the shutil module, then be sure to let me know if I'm wrong about that in the comment section below. But I use this when I'm zipping and unzipping entire directories. So let's see how to do this. So let me get rid of everything that we've done here so far. And now I'm going to import the shutil module. So that is going to be import, and this is shutil. Okay, so now let's use the shutil module to create a zip file of an entire directory. And I'll use that files directory that we extracted in our previous example. So to do this, we can just say shutil.make_archive. And now we need to pass in a couple of arguments here. So the first argument is going to be the name of the file that we want to create. So I'm going to call this another. And since we already have one called files, that's the one that we're going to be working with. And now we need to pass in the format. And there are some different formats, and we're going to take a look at gzip here in a second. But for now, I'm just going to use zip. I'll also show you the other formats that we can use as well. And now we are going to pass in the directory that we want to zip. So, just so this isn't too confusing here, we are going to zip this directory up here, this files directory, and we are going to create an archive called another. So, that is called files, and this is all that we need right here. So, if I run this, then let's see what this did. I'm going to pull up my Finder here. So we can see that it took this files directory here and it created a zip archive called another.zip, and it used zip since we passed in zip as the format. And if I open this, then now I have another directory, and it has test.txt and thumbnail.png within there. Okay, so this was pretty simple. Making a zip file from a directory using the shutil module. All we had was this one line right here. And extracting the contents is just as easy. So let me delete the folder that I just extracted manually. So I'm going to delete this another folder there. And then I'll extract that using Python. So we can just come back over here to the script. And I'm going to comment out where we created our zip file since we already created that. And to extract that zip file that we created, we can just say shutil.unpack_archive. And then first, we need to pass in an argument of the archive that we want to unpack. And we called that another.zip. You have to add the .zip here or else it won't know what directory you're talking about. And now let's pass in a name for the folder that we would like to unpack this to. So I'm just going to call this another for another directory. And if I run this, then open this up, then we can see that we deleted this before, but we have unpacked that zip file, and we have our files there in that unpacked directory. Now, like I was saying, the shutil module allows us to make and unpack gzip archives as well. So there are some other archive formats, but I'm not too familiar with all of these. I have these pulled up here in a snippets file, so let me switch over here. So these are the different formats here. So we have zip, which is a zip file. We have tar, and tar is just an uncompressed tar file. We have gztar, which is a gzipped tar file, and bztar, bzipped tar file, and xztar, an xz'd tar file. So those are the different formats there. And from these snippets here, we can see that to make a gzip archive right here, a gzipped tar file, we can use this gztar as the format that we pass in to our make archive. So I'm going to comment where we are unpacking our archive here and uncomment where we are making an archive. And now, instead of doing another zip file, I'm going to do another as the name still, and I will pass in that gztar format instead. So if I run this, then let me open up my directory here, kind of getting crowded with all these zip files. But we can see right here, I know that this text is a little small on my Mac, but we have a gz archive here. It's another.tar.gz. And I can unpack this one just like I've been doing the others. First, I will delete the folder that we have so far. I can unpack that tar.gz, and we can see that here we have the test.txt file and our thumbnail.png. So we can see that that worked, and I won't show unpacking that in Python because it's just the same process of using that unpack archive function and specifying that gzip file name instead of the zip file name. Okay, so with those examples of local files out of the way, let's now see how we can go about downloading a zip file online and extracting that. So this is something that might be really common if you're writing automated scripts for pulling down certain data. And in this example, I'll use the zip file of the data from the 2019 Stack Overflow developer survey. So I've got that page pulled up here in my browser. So let me open this up. So I've got the page open here where we can download this data. Now this is easy to find online, but if you want to follow along, then I do have a link to this page in the description section below as well. Okay, so here are all the download links here for all the different years, and I'm going to want the 2019 data, and I need the link to download this zip file. To get that link, we can right-click on it, and then click here where it says copy link address. So I'm going to copy that link address. Now, if you're writing an automated script with a URL that's created dynamically, so this link address here is always going to be the same, but if you have a link that's being created dynamically, then you either have to know that URL or how that URL is generated, or you have to go out and scrape that URL somehow using something like Beautiful Soup. And I've got a video on Beautiful Soup as well that I'll add to the description section below if anyone has never scraped websites before. That goes into depth about how to do that. But for our example here, we will just copy this link address. But again, if you're scraping the site, you can grab it that way. So now let's go back to our script with that URL to download that zip file. And now we'll just erase everything that we have here so far. And now let's import requests. Now you'll need requests installed too if you don't have that pip installed yet. Now again, I'm not going to go into the details of these other modules in this video. So if you'd like to learn more about what we're doing here in requests, then you can watch my video on that specific topic. So I'll leave a link to that video in the description as well. But I'll go ahead and import this, say import requests. And now to grab that file, we can just say r is equal to requests.get. And then I'm going to paste in the link address, which apparently they're storing this on Google Drive, to that CSV file. So that is that URL there. And now to download this to our machine, we're going to say with open. And now what we want to call this file, so I'm going to call this data.zip. And now we want to open this file in write mode and also a B for byte mode because we're actually downloading bytes here. Okay, so now we can say as F, and now we have opened this data.zip file and we're ready to write these bytes that we just downloaded. So now let's actually write them. So I'll say f.write and we will write the bytes that we download from this link. And to do that, it is r.content. Okay, so now at this point, we should download this data from this URL here and save that into a data.zip file. And now to see what's in that zip file that we download, we can just use what we learned earlier and print out the name list or anything that you want from that zip file. So let me import the zip file module. So I'll import zip file. And now down here at the bottom, I can just say with zipfile.zipfile, and we want to open up data.zip because that's what we called the file that we're writing here. And we want to open this in read mode, and I'll say as data underscore zip. And now we can just print data zip dot name list. We could also extract that data, whatever you want to do with it, but I'll just print the name list for now. So let's run that and see if that entire process works. So I'll save that and run it. Whoops, looks like I misspelled requests here. Yep, I should have seen that. Don't know how I didn't. Okay, so now let me rerun this. Now this might take a second because it's going to go out on the internet here. Okay, so I got another error here. It says bad zip file. File is not a zip file. So I'm assuming everything else looks right here. So I'm not too sure what's going on here. I'm not going to bore you guys too long with trying to figure this out. So I'm going to pause the video real quick and go back and look at my notes and see what's going on here. Okay, so I went back over my notes and I'm not really having any luck figuring out what is going on with this right now. But let's go ahead and just do a backup just so you can see what this looks like. So I'm going to go to my GitHub here, and you can download repositories as zip files. So let's just use this as a backup so that I can show you what this looks like, and maybe that issue will resolve itself with the Stack Overflow downloads. I'm not sure, but I'm here on my GitHub, and I'm going here into my .files repository. Let me zoom in here a little bit. And on GitHub, we can see that there is a button here for clone or download. So I'm going to click on clone or download, and then there is a download zip link right here. So I'm going to do the same thing that worked earlier on Stack Overflow, and it's not working now for some reason. But I'm going to right click, and I'm going to click on copy link address. So I should have that link address copied. And now I'm going to use this URL, this GitHub URL, instead of that Stack Overflow. And now let me save and run this. And now we can see that we printed out the name list of everything in that zip file. And here we can see everything. So I've got my .files, aliases file, bash profile. So it did download that zip file there, and we named it data.zip, and we did extract, or we actually didn't extract that data, but we opened it up in zip format here and printed out the name list. And if I wanted to extract that, then it's as easy as just saying extract all, running that. And if I go back to Finder here, then we can see that we have that .files master repository there that was extracted in my folder. And also, whenever I used extract all right there, like we saw before, I could have put a name in here to give that a specific name. So if I just wanted that to be data, then I could just call that data. I'll take that print statement out. And now we can see that that repository is now called data instead. And we have that .files master right there. Okay, so sorry about that mishap there with the Stack Overflow data. I'm not sure what happened. Usually these tutorials run pretty smoothly without any hiccups, but I couldn't quite figure that one out. So maybe I think they changed the links on me or something while I was doing this video because it worked earlier and now it's not. But with that said, before we finish up here, I would like to mention the sponsor of this video, and that is Brilliant.org. So if you'd like to learn more about programming and programming concepts like we touched in this video, then I would definitely recommend checking out brilliant.org. Brilliant is a problem-solving website that helps you understand underlying concepts by actively working through guided lessons. And they've recently added some brand new interactive content that makes problem-solving and challenges even more fun and hands-on. So if you'd like to learn more about programming with Python, then I would recommend checking out their newer Python course that covers everything from the basics to some real-world applications. They even use Python in their statistics courses and will quiz you on how to correctly analyze the data within the language. So their guided lessons will challenge you, but you also have the ability to get hints or even solutions if you need them. It's really tailored towards understanding the material. They even have a coding environment built into their website so that you can run code directly in the browser. And that's a great complement to watching my tutorials because you can apply what you've learned in their active problem-solving environment, and that helps to solidify that knowledge. So to support my channel and learn more about Brilliant, you can go to brilliant.org/CMS to sign up for free. And also, the first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription. And you can find that link in the description section below. And again, that's brilliant.org/CMS. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully now you have a pretty good idea for how you can create and extract zip files in Python, along with a few other tricks. Like I said, this is really useful for writing these automated scripts of pulling down data and doing everything within your script instead of doing some of these steps manually every single time. But if anyone does have any questions about what we covered in this video, then feel free to ask in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer those. And if you enjoy these tutorials and would like to support them, then there are several ways you can do that. The easiest way is to simply like the video and give it a thumbs up. And also, it's a huge help to share these videos with anyone who you think would find them useful. And if you have the means, you can contribute through Patreon, and there's a link to that page in the description section below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and thank you all for watching.